Oh. Hey, everybody. Hey, it's Mike Pingel. Welcome to the Mike Pingel Show. Oh, my goodness. We are coming here live. It is 12 noon. Mm-hmm. We're high tea. We're doing some
If it was midnight, I wouldn't be here. Because I'd be asleep 3 hours ago.
Really? I would think that you would be, like, working at some place, some Hollywood. No, not anymore.
No, I'm too old for that.
What?
I know.
No.
You know what? At 43, when people say to me, they ask if you want to meet them at a certain time, and I'm like, meet you at 9 p.m. I'm like, I've already eaten, seen a movie, and I'm in bed.
I know, right? That also, people do that to me all the time too. They're like, why don't we meet at 11:30? I'm like,
11:30. I'm like, that's breakfast tomorrow.
Okay, great. We are live. We are live. I just want to make sure that we're live. See?
Oh, are we? Let's see.
There we are.
Okay.
A little bit too much
this
air.
This is not flattering, I have to tell you.
Well, put your hood up.
Yeah, let me put the hoodie up.
Put a hood up. Okay, so what we're gonna I'm gonna do this so you don't have to look at that anymore.
How do I look at the hood?
You look mysterious.
I'm edgier this way.
Edgier. You look like you might be an enemy.
Oh, really?
Enemy.
And look how close
enemy.
I am
Closer, enemy. Hi, everybody. Mike Pingel here. Thank you for showing up, watching the show today. Today we have best-selling author. He's a best-selling author. Josh.
Listen, I told you the pronunciation.
I know you did. Something about bears. Shabars? How would someone at the Academy Awards pronounce your name? Go ahead.
I don't know. It depends. Is it John Travolta?
Yeah, John Travolta. How about John Travolta?
I don't know. I can only imagine how that would come out.
Sabarra.
His lace front must have been on too tight that day.
All right, back to you.
Yeah.
You are a veteran marketing executive.
Correct.
For TV producers and held work at at Disney, Warner Brothers, Miramax, New Line Cinema, Lifetime for women and gay men.
Mm-hmm. Although I don't think they have the tagline "television for women" anymore.
They don't? Mm-mm. Just gay men?
But as I say in Enemies Closer, I always laugh at the fact that their logo is a big red period. I'm like, I can't believe that nobody sat in a marketing meeting and said, we're a women's network, maybe our logo shouldn't be a big red dot.
It's for those once a month times that somebody has to turn on and,
But, I mean, didn't they have like a longer, nobody, not one creative person sat in that meeting and thought of that?
Maybe they're all on their period that day.
They were having a light day.
A light flow. What? Your first book was Born Again.
Porn Again.
Porn Again. See?
Born Again is really not the direction. It really is in a whole different direction.
Like context.
And if you want a book called Born Again, you're watching the wrong Facebook Live show.
That's right, because we are going to talk about some porn and some photos with hot boys. And then your newest book, Enemies Closer, which you have been all over, signing, selling, talking about. And tell me a little bit about the book. This is your first nonfiction,
First
right?
nonfiction.
First fiction.
Yes.
Go ahead.
He's really batting 100 today, folks.
Thank God I'm pretty, right?
There's that going for you, at least.
Thank you. Thank you, Daddy.
Enemies Closer is a Hollywood sort of... It's Bridget Jones meets Devil Wears Prada.
Okay.
So it's sort of a Hollywood novel that has a lot of backstabby bitchiness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So...
That's not based on anything that may or may not have happened in real life.
That was my next question. So say I was reading the book. Where would I think I was? Is there a business or a person or
what's the backdrop?
Yeah.
It's about a full-figured publicist who works for one of the biggest studios in Hollywood. And
are you talking about me in this?
She becomes, she sort of becomes ensnared in this group of women who may not all have the best motives and intentions. Which you never find in Hollywood.
No, I was just going to say that. That doesn't seem...
Because everybody's so altruistic and pure in this town.
Yeah, that doesn't seem real.
Right.
That never happens here in Hollywood. Not at all. And, I've worked in the business and PR, so I've never seen anything like that.
It's pretty upstanding.
So you in the background of PR and marketing, did you pull some of your past into the book?
Of course. Of course, you write what you know.
So, what in the book can you tell us that was kind of true?
I don't know. I mean, it's all fiction.
It's all fiction. It's all fiction, folks. It's all fiction.
People can decide what they think is. What's funny is some of the things that are the more outrageous things that people say that I clearly made up are some of the things that are.
Real.
I mean, it's some of the simpler things that I just kind of had to throw in to move the plot along, and some of the things that people think are so outrageous are things that actually happened. I mean, that's the funniest
that
part
is
of
true
all of
life.
it. Like, you're like, that's just ridiculous.
That would never ever happen.
Okay.
Something like a reality star becoming the president of the United States. It would never happen, folks. Never ever happen.
Well, I guess, now it's like all bets are off for anything.
All bets are off.
Yeah.
Where's Oprah? Now, what character in the book is you? Is there a character, or is it different characters?
It's funny. I get asked that a lot. I don't think there's a character who's me. There's, the protagonist is a 40-something, female named Marcy Brooks. I think there's a little bit of me in some of Marcy's characteristics. Then she has her gay best friend, and I think there's some of me in that character. And the one of the main bitchy women in the book, I think there are some elements of her that are me as well. So
no.
I think it's sort of, there's a little bit of Josh woven through everybody a tiny bit.
Now, writing this book, this is not about your life per se. How was it writing a fiction book? What was the challenges for you?
The hardest part for me, I mean, I know different writers probably have different opinions on this. For me, I find making sure that the plot is airtight and that you've thought everything through, so that there aren't holes in things or things that are just conveniently thrown in to move something along or that are too terribly contrived. I think that is harder to do than... I mean, they presented their own challenges, the two different books, but that to me is the hardest part of fiction. Where with the memoir, there's not that much room to play around. You can figure out which things would be relatable to other people. Obviously, the details that are important to us about our lives doesn't mean that everyone else wants to read that. So, you wind up writing things that wind up getting trashed. I loved my grandmother and had a great relationship with her. So did a lot of people. Nobody wants to read about that.
That's
so,
true.
You write it and then it's like, the editor takes that out or whatever.
Yeah.
So you sort of know, but you know what the timeline is of that story, and you know the material you have to cover because it's fact.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, a memoir is not, just a solid autobiography where it's just factual. There is some interpretation and opinion involved, but you know the ground you have to cover because it's your life, so there's no plotting.
Yeah.
It's just sort of going through and knowing what you need to have in there and what you don't.
And with this book, did you have a definite opening and definite ending you wanted to go to, or how did you?
Yeah, because I outlined the book ahead of time. So I do a lot. I do about a month to 2 months worth of work before I write the book. Mm-hmm. So that's character studies, and I make sure I know who those people are. So when I'm writing about them, it's as though they exist for me. And then I outline chapter by chapter. Some people do that, some people don't. I know some writers who think that it, hinders their creativity because sometimes they then want to go in another direction. I allow myself to do that if I see that something would work better. I don't necessarily feel like I have to be, so rigid that I can't deviate from what I put. But for the most part, I know what needs to be accomplished in each chapter to move the story along.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And talking about that, who would you think would be the actors who play them in a movie? Who would you want to play your characters if you were casting it today?
You know what? In a perfect world, well, the nice thing about Enemies is that I think there are a number of roles for a lot of underserved actresses.
Okay.
So, when you're getting in to a certain, age group of women, which I think is becoming, which I think Hollywood is making more and more things to serve all audiences, and I think there's still a long way to go, but I think, you look at the people working now, and the Nicole Kidmans and the Viola Davis, like people who we revere and we see in viable programming are now not necessarily under 40, which I think is amazing.
Yep.
This particular book would give a lot of work to people in that group. So like I see people like, for the circle of women who are her friends, I see people like Celia Ward and Christine Lottie and Katie Seagal and that kind of, if it were a TV kind of thing. And I always say, like, if it was a feature, I could totally see Adele doing her first acting role as the protagonist, because that's sort of how I picture her. She's, a full-figured girl, but very pretty, and I just sort of see that's sort of how I picture her.
I do too, and then the moments where she realizes everyone's so horrible and she sings a song, she just breaks out in song.
Right, because we would definitely turn it into a musical.
Oh my! I think you have something there.
Enemies Closer, the musical.
The musical. The musical. I'm looking at my notes, folks, because I have more questions. Now, in the world of marketing, what did you enjoy about it? What was your favorite project you ever worked on?
To me, the most satisfying projects are the smaller movies that you can sort of help find an audience and like a movie like The Station Agent. I don't know if you remember that movie with Peter Dinklage and Patricia Clarkson. It was like a small movie when I was at Miramax. Or some of that when I worked at Disney, we were doing Rushmore.
Okay. Yep.
Like movies that sort of need to find an audience and build. Those are great because you put a lot of work into them, and they're not necessarily tentpole blockbuster movies. But once you can sort of get the public to look at them and sort of see them, look what came out of Rushmore, like the Wes Anderson, all of that stuff. So that to me is more satisfying to introduce people to something than working on projects that are tentpoles like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, because I worked on I worked on everything from things like The Station Agent to Lord of the Rings. And, when you're dealing with something that's such a big property, it's more managing the press than it is, because I did more PR on those movies. It's more managing it because people are coming in and they want it. You're not having to go and generate it. You're not having to pitch it and get people interested. They're interested.
Yeah.
It's just, who are you going to say yes and no to, because you have a limited amount of time and limited amount of access to talent and limited number of screenings. And so it's more of management in that respect as opposed to actually generating opinion-making media. So to me, it's more interesting to really shape people's idea about something and introduce them to something new than it is to sort of force feed them what they already want to see.
Exactly. What's going to be on the front page, the other one's going to be way in the back.
Right.
So, press junkets, what's the craziest thing that ever happened at a press junket? If you remember anything that was nutty, crazy.
Well, I talk in Porn Again about just like funny, silly things. Like I remember I worked on a movie called The Insider with Russell Crowe and Al Pacino? Was it Al Pacino? I don't even remember. Russell Crowe, I don't remember who else was in it. Gina Gershon was in it, I know that for sure. But Russell Crowe, and I remember during the junket, like he, to my memory, and it was a movie about the tobacco industry, and it had like a kind of anti-smoking message. And I remember between every interview and junkets, for people who aren't aware, are when they bring in all the regional press from around the country, sometimes even out of the country, and they shuffle them through one by one in a hotel suite where the celebrity sits there, answers like that. You get like 4 minutes or 3 minutes with the celebrity,
Yep.
and then you get to ask your questions, and everybody's questions are exactly the same, and the celebrity tries to pretend that they haven't heard the same question, and then you finish your interview and they hand you the tape, and you can go and look like you had this big interview with this person.
Yep.
So they're usually scheduled back to back to back. So you may be doing 20 or 30 of them, in one day for the celebrity. And I just remember him stopping to take a cigarette break between every single one, or just about every single one. So here you're booked like every 4 minutes. Then you add the 2 minutes or whatever it takes to smoke the cigarette. And by the time you're done, we had to cut so many people from getting their interviews because, you kind of run out of time. And here we are with a movie that's about tobacco industry, so that was one. And I remember there was one, and this is my memory, but I remember there was one, I think it might have been Sharon Stone, I don't remember, don't quote me on this, but somebody who was between every interview changed her shirt.
Whoa.
So when you're doing, again, 30 back-to-back, 5 minutes each, wanted it to look like she was wearing something else, even though everybody knows that junk gets all done on 1 day or 2 days over a weekend. So when you're then changing your shirt between one, again, you're getting into that time problem. And
wow.
Yeah.
Well, but that's nice. That's nice you did that for all the people.
Yeah,
So
well, it was really nice to the staff, too, that when you have to tell press that they're not getting their interviews. So, yeah, that's real nice. And like I said, I don't remember if it was Sharon Stone for sure. So I'm just saying. I don't need Sharon calling me.
If Sharon's calling you, write a quote. Write down there, Sharon. Let's talk about porn again.
Let's. Or you like to call it born again.
Well, they liked it too.
I think you just got a text.
Someone
I think someone's sexting you.
Stop
I wish I could see the other side.
I know.
So I could read your text out to people.
It's probably just who knows. So you didn't do porn.
No.
You just had some fun with porn stars. Or tell me about the book.
I mean, the book is
because my brain is going fantasizing.
So this is my first book, which was a memoir called Porn Again, and the idea that it's really a coming of age story. But porn played an important, I wasn't really comfortable. I knew I was gay from the time I was 5, very early.
Wow.
And, but it was something that I was bullied about and teased about very early on. So it was something that I sort of learned I should be hiding. So for a number of years, I sort of let everything else be my cover. For a while, eating was a problem because I could control the eating. So then, eating became an issue. Then I sort of developed sort of an addiction to plastic surgery because I figured, well, if I make myself look better, or I fix this, or I fix that. But what you find is it's not really addiction to plastic surgery, it's an approval addiction because it's the idea that people say, oh, you look great, or once you start generating positive attention, you want more and more of that. So you think, okay, well, what else can I do to generate that kind of positive attention? And even if that means going under anesthesia and having major surgery, I was willing to do that at the time. And then I had a career, I was senior vice president by the time I was 27, I think. So I sort of had this, I sort of let that wonderkin status be my cover for everything else. So I could use my career as an excuse. I'm too busy, I'm too thin. So I was also a virgin until I was 31. But let's make very clear that I made up for lost time.
Wow!
But
I thought I was 21 when I. But go ahead.
So just 3 years ago.
God bless you.
You've been sexually active for so little time. So porn played a very important part. People have very strong opinions about the adult industry.
Yes.
For me, it was sort of like a lifeline because it was the only thing that I saw or knew or understood about human sexuality was what I saw there because I wasn't experiencing any of it on my own.
Yep.
So to some degree, I feel like when the time came for me to start living my life as a gay man, I was more confident about it because I felt that I know how this goes, I know how this works. Like I felt a little more comfortable. So for me, I felt like porn was a great tool. I also think I was wise enough to know that, you know, not everything that you see in porn is how it goes in real life.
No, tell me that's not true.
Not always. I mean, most of the time. I don't know about yours. So, and then there
Usually
were...
the bodies. The bodies aren't usually the same.
Yeah, but you know what? To me, a perfect body is not... I mean, to me, there's something really appealing about imperfections.
True.
And
true.
Somebody being a real person. And those bodies that everybody drools over are not really attainable unless that's your line of work. Unless you have time to be at the gym every day and you have time to be eating nothing but chicken breast and you can prepare your meals up front. You know, I don't want to live my life that way.
No.
So, you know, I appreciate that there are other people who do it, but it's not necessarily what appeals to me on a personal level.
I mean, I tried to be as healthy as possible, but I saw a Girl Scout yesterday, so
yeah,
there you go.
I mean,
I had to get 3 boxes.
I thought you were going to say you ate her. So anyway,
later. I mean, in the cookie form.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not go.
Whoa! Here we go, people.
So I have had to do the Girl Scout stuff too because they're already knocking down my door. Fortunately, they haven't started boothing yet because that's coming. You realize that comes in February where they're out front of every store.
That's why it's February right now.
Yeah, but now they're just doing the early work. You know, they're laying the groundwork, they're meeting their goals, they're selling you the boxes at their parents' jobs.
Yep.
You know. And by the way, buy the s'mores ones first because they had a limited number last year. It was newly introduced. This year it's already hard to get s'mores cookies.
And they're $6, by the way. They're
$5 for the s'mores.
It's $6.
I was charged only $5. I just shorted somebody.
Wow.
So anyway.
Yeah, they're more expensive this year.
But they're good. The s'mores
I didn't
are
get
good.
one.
Yeah, well, try your best. So anyway, so porn. That's how porn sort of got through my life, and then there are other instances in the book where the porn sort of played into my life, and people who work in the business in odd ways came through my life.
Yeah.
One of whom I dated for a period of time, and that ended tragically, sadly. But that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other...
Yeah, you have to get the book.
You have to get the book.
Or to get a memoir.
What did you learn about writing it for yourself? I mean, was it...
It was very therapeutic. But I was very careful also to make sure that there's entertainment value in the book. You know, I didn't want people to think that they were buying, my therapy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's told in a way that I think is... that I hope is relatable and entertaining to people.
And I love the DVD that came with it. I mean, all the clips.
Right, that doesn't exist. But apparently he has one.
I was just saying, it could be an extra bonus. And I read that you talk about some celebrities you slept with in the book.
So you haven't read the book?
I've not read the book, no. No.
It's always great to go on a show when they haven't read the
Your
material
publicist didn't
first.
send one over, so I don't know what to tell you.
Your producers didn't ask for one.
You know, there was no PDF.
You can't hold the talent responsible. Anyway, so yes, there are a few bold-faced names that are in the book. But the reason I tell those stories is it's not from the standpoint of being salacious or talking out of school or kissing and telling. They were very specific points in my life where those particular people who I mentioned, there was something behind, or some meaning behind that. You know, that they were very important moments in my life, and there was a reason that I named a few of them.
That's
I'm looking at your list right now, and I'm just laughing in my head. Anyway, go on.
What?
You want to know how good they were in bed?
What?
The celebrity I slept with, who was the best? I think if you get porn again, I'm pretty clear.
He's pretty clear.
I talk about sizes and what worked for me and what didn't work for me and why, and it's all in there. I think chapter 10 and 11.
10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
Rip through those. Now, you also have written relationship and sex advice columns,
yes.
too. Do you still currently do that?
Right now, I sort of had to stop. I was writing, I was the sex columnist for Gay Times in London.
Oh, nice.
And I sort of had to stop because I was working on Enemies, and it was just competing for my time, and I had to get the book in at a certain time, and I just couldn't do it all. So I had a nice 2-year run. And you know what? The truth is, after doing a column like that for 2 years, I felt like I had offered everything I could anyway. Mm-hmm. I answered, I did like a big story in each issue, and then I answered 3 or 4 letters. And after 2 years, that's a lot of answering letters, and there's only so much.
Yeah.
There's only so many things you can stick in so many places and give people advice as to how to, So I felt like I did right by it, and I went out on a high note doing it. I'm not saying I wouldn't return to it, but I needed the time to finish the
But that's nice. So you were sharing what you've learned with others. And
right.
It was nice.
And also my dad's a urologist, so I have some insight.
Of insights.
Literally, inside knowledge.
Who would you like to sleep with today in the industry, in the world?
If I could just pick with,
yeah,
like my celebrity fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think Channing Tatum's adorable.
Yes.
I mean,
I met him. He's really adorable.
and they're from what I understand, I've not met or worked with them, but I understand they're like the loveliest people. So it's almost like it's not even like a sexual fantasy. It's just like I almost just want to like cuddle with him and chat.
I was just gonna say cuddle buddies.
And it's funny.
I'd make him dance though too.
I have a in my living room. I have a life-size portrait of Channing Tatum made out of 5,000 Mike and Ike jelly beans.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah,
is that the guy
a lot of magazines
from San Francisco?
Jason,
yes,
Jason.
Jason.
Year, yes.
He did one of Farrah. He's done
so he did one of me made out of junk, and then he did one of Channing for me that I commissioned made out of the Mike and Ike candies, and it's a shirtless from Magic Mike.
Wow. I would be like, I think I want to eat some of Magic Mike.
Yeah, except it's in a plexiglass box, so you have to gnaw through that first.
You never know. You're friends with Ricky Lake.
No, again, you haven't read Porn Again.
Oh,
Chapter
I'm sorry.
17,
I just saw a picture with you and her.
Chapter 17. Details the
because you worked on her
demise
show.
of my relationship with Ricky.
Oh,
yeah.
they didn't say that in the article. They just talked about that you had worked.
That's
with
why
her
it's good to read the book.
Wow. Yes. So, what do you hope?
And I have nothing nice to say about her. So.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean.
No, that's fine too. I mean, it's. I think you're okay. You're okay. And she's gonna say nothing nice about me after this interview. Son of a bitch didn't read my book.
Listen, you know what? I can't tell you how to do your show. My eyebrow would raise more if I didn't have both. People are lucky that I have a lot of injectables. Keeps people from knowing what I'm thinking a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot.
I think it's good that I have Botox. I mean, it doesn't stop eye rolls. Sometimes I wish, sometimes I don't even realize.
He is so nice.
I think sometimes when I'm out and when people say certain things to me, I forget that I'm rolling my eyes. I'm so used to doing it that I do it in front of people.
That's kind of weird because so do I. Mm-hmm. People are like,
it's hard to hide, right?
Yeah,
I know there comes a point in an age where you're just. It's like you don't care anymore. I'm already that old person in South Florida who's old and yells at everybody. I'm my grandparents.
I did that at a movie theater last week.
Did you ask someone to stop talking?
These girls, we were watching them at the Greatest Showman, and these girls behind me literally talked for the first hour of the movie.
Well, I would have to say it was probably better than the movie.
The movie, well, I enjoyed
the music's enjoyable.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
It's a very loose. Like, I mean, it plays pretty fast and loose with that story.
But anyway, I turned around and told them to shut up, and they were like, "We're trying to enjoy the movie." I go, "You've been talking through the frickin' movie for the last hour."
So you were that like old guy, who chastised the girls who were right. Okay.
Yeah,
I hope you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. Well, in 16 days, I will be that age where I don't care. I will do have the big 5-0 comes.
You look good.
Thank you. It's the lights.
Oh, I would have thought. I thought maybe you were going to say the 4-0.
No, 5-0.
Look at you.
Big 5-0. Well, Josh, the half an hour's over.
That's not possible.
It's not possible. Not possible. Tell everybody where they can find your book, where they can find you. When's your next book signing?
Well, right now I'm working on. I'm producing 4 mystery films for Hallmark this year, so that's taking a lot of time.
Wow.
And then
do you need some actresses?
No, it's a series of movies, so it's Ellie Martin who's the lead, and Nancy Grace and I produce them together. They're mysteries.
Nancy Grace, how is she?
She's awesome. We've been friends for 20-something years.
That's who we should have dished about. Next time you come on, we'll dish about her.
There's no dish. She lives a normal life. It's so funny. It's like she's like the nicest person on the planet.
I love her. I love that.
Yeah, it's like there's no there. It's like people always wonder. They're like, oh, she must be hard to be friends with. I'm like, no, she's awesome. And one of the most loyal people. I mean, we've been friends for 20 years, and I don't think we've ever had she's just kind of the real deal.
Nice.
And then I'm working on I'm starting a new book. So there's that. But my books are available at Barnes & Noble or Amazon or Books & Noble, any of them.
And where should they follow you for book signings and stuff?
On Twitter at Josh Sabarra, Sabarra, and that is also my Instagram handle.
And we'll put the links down below here. Please share this with everybody.
Down below.
Down below.
Right with the fire. Down below.
Where the porn is, down below. Thank you for watching us today. The Mike Pingel Show. Please share this with your friends, family, and, of course, your enemies. We'll see you next week here.
Who's on next week? Do we know yet?
I am pre-taping.
Oh.
It's not going to be live.
Oh, but is there somebody that...
Yes. It's Peter, and I will screw up his last name. Why can't people just be named Smith?
Peter what?
Sanchez.
Wait, your friend Peter, who writes the werewolf books?
Yep.
Oh, he's awesome.
Peter's going to be here today. I didn't really want to let everybody know it's pre-taped, but it's pre-taped because he can't do it next week. So, he's
such a diva.
Yeah, that means I got to film it and cut it, and it's going to be crazy. It's crazy.
No, anyway, he'll be worth checking out for sure, tape or not tape.
That's true. And there's going to be a big gay con happening in Long Beach.
He's signing books.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about
that.
I
saw that on online.
He's doing something with that too, so we'll be talking about that. So catch us next week, next Thursday. That's going to be live, probably at 12:30. Not live, but it'll be live. Or what does it call that when you upload?
It's live to tape. Let's call it that.
It's
live to tape.
Live to tape.
It's not edited. It's live to tape.
Right here.
That's what they call it.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. I had fun. Can't believe it's only a half hour.
I know, it's fast. Well, we're almost 35 minutes in now. We can go for another hour.
I have nowhere to be. Just kidding.
Unfortunately, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys. Be good to each other. And I have to go.
Or don't.
Oh, right? Do.